Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's City Council meeting. It's February 19th at 6 p.m. The mayor is in attendance remotely. However, he feels it's appropriate to have the meeting chaired by somebody in person. That person is me. I'm Paul Mayo, Council President. I'd like to inform everybody that I will be voting on agenda items. As usual, we'll start the meeting out with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all.
Barb, would you please read the open meeting statement?
Sure. This meeting and all meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
Thank you. Can you take roll, please?
Mayor Smith,
Here.
Colin Dykstra,
Here.
Paul Hagan,
Here.
Eric Helverson,
Here.
Dimitri Martin,
Here.
Paul Mayo,
Here.
Corey Nagel,
Here.
Eric Olson,
Here.
Dave Peterson,
Here.
Scott Berchatsky,
Here.
Henry Veliker.
Here.
10 present. We have a quorum.
Thanks, Barb.
Yep.
Would you start the staff introductions, please?
Sure. Barb Nowak, City Clerk.
Aaron Jensen, City Administrator.
Matt Klatt, Airport Manager.
Eric Bailey, Library Director.
Stephanie Reif, Finance Director.
Justin Behrens, Director of Public Works.
Laura Colbert, Parks and Rec Director.
Pete Krager, Chief of Police.
And I believe we had Josh in the control room. Next up, we have the approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a grouping of many items that we approve with one vote. If anybody has an item like they'd like removed from the consent agenda and move to the regular agenda, now's the time to request that. If not, I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Olson, second by who? Oh, second by Colin Dykstra to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the regular agenda. We have no additions, and so I would need a motion and a second to approve the regular agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Peterson, second by Dykstra to approve the regular agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have non-agenda items, announcements, and correspondence. We have one item here, a presentation of a certificate of appreciation to Nate Smith for 10 years service to the city, I believe, in Public Works. And here's his certificate. He's not here. Next, we have public input. Public input is for anybody who'd like to say anything about a non-agenda item. If you'd like to say something about a non-agenda item, please step to the podium, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Because that applies for council, too. Nothing? All right. Next, we'll move to community and department head reports. First, we have Liz Kinnear reporting on the Waupaca Area Public Library for the Waupaca Area Arts and Culture Network. That must be you, Liz.
Thank you so much. It's always nice to get to come here and talk to you guys about fun things that are happening in the city of Waupaca and at the library. I'm Liz Kinnear. My technical position is the exhibit room coordinator at the Waupaca Area Public Library. The library is part of the Waupaca Arts and Culture Network, or WACN, which is a result of the Waupaca Cultural Plan that was initiated in 2018. We are excited to know that with your support, planning will continue to help keep the arts and culture as an important part of our fabric of our community. Collaborations are key to our success at the library. Halloween on Main with the City of Waupaca Parks and Rec Department and area businesses is a great example. The Yuletide Trail has turned into a wonderful annual collaboration of WACN members. We had over 500 people visit the library during this event, many who would not typically stop by. Many of our programs are collaborations with the community partners that we've established through WACN. We are excited for these events, big and small, that strengthen bonds with our partners and make Waupaca an even more vibrant community. Just as a side note on the Yuletide Trail, we had an event downstairs in the exhibit room, and we typically get a lot of kids and families that come in to do our events, our activities. We had 2 couples, probably in their mid-20s, that came in, which that is great, but not the norm for us. So they came in, they did the activity, they looked at our Americans in the Holocaust exhibit, and so I was talking to them on the way out. And one of the young men, I said, so are you from Waupaca? And he said, no, my girlfriend is from here. It's my first time visiting Waupaca. And he said, I've got to tell you, this is the best library I've ever been to. And I said, well, thank you. That's a very nice compliment. And he said, Waupaca is like the Gilmore Girls. He said, I keep expecting to see Lorelei somewhere. He said, down to the gazebo that you guys have on your front lawn. Like, this is like the Gilmore Girls. So anybody like mine and Laura's generation knows what I'm talking about. But that is a big compliment. And so it's a great event. So as many of you may or may not know, the city of Waupaca is celebrating its 105th anniversary this April. And 2025 also marks the 125th anniversary of the Waupaca Area Public Library. We are teaming up with our great friends at the Waupaca Area Historical Society to mark this occasion with a celebration on April 12th, so mark your calendars, including fun activities, hopefully on the lawn if the weather's good, otherwise in our meeting rooms, and of course, cake. Additionally, we will have a display of historic images on the bandstand to highlight the city and library's beginnings, as well as to inform people on why the city became a city. To complement these big anniversaries, we will also highlight anniversaries with Waupaca Media, including Win TV, the radio station, and Good News Waupaca, and showcase their memorabilia in display cases in the lobby between City Hall and the library. Looking at the exhibit room specifically, 2024 was a great year for us. We hosted a diverse offering of exhibits and programs and had attendance numbers that exceeded any previous year. Collaborations and relationships were strengthened with community partners, many of these WACN members, working with over 20 unique partners on a city, county, state, and national level. We created many meaningful connections with our patrons this year. We hosted 7 exhibits with a total of 27,457 visitors to our exhibit space. We provided 44 in-person programs with 3,032 in attendance. The exhibit room, along with my position, is completely funded by our library foundation with a budget of $3,000. Thankfully, that does not include my salary, directly contributed through the generosity of donations from community members. Exhibits in 2024 ranged from discussing food justice with our partners at Waupaca County and the Extension to highlighting WACAB, the Community Arts Board, and the Beautiful Shine Project, another amazing collaboration with the city of Waupaca and the Foundry. Our most notable exhibit was Americans in the Holocaust. I hope you all had a chance to see that. A national traveling exhibit through the American Library Association and the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, stopping at 50 libraries in the U.S., with Waupaca being the only location in Wisconsin. Over a 6-week host period, and this was over the holidays, over Thanksgiving and Christmas, and New Year's actually, we had over 4,000 people visit this exhibit. Not just from Waupaca, but traveling up to 2 hours or more to see it. Our library is really a destination. We also connected with over 21 additional people through programming for this exhibit. And in conjunction with this exhibit, we are hosting #1 New York Times bestselling author Ruta Sepetys on March 6th, 6:30 p.m. at the Waupaca High School Auditorium or Performing Arts Center. She is an outstanding author and speaker, so put that on your calendar and please stop in to see it. The school district of Waupaca has been an amazing partner in this, and Ms. Sepetys will additionally present to all Waupaca High School students. My proudest accomplishment this year is that we are able to welcome over 1,200 local students into the library for field trips in 2024. As I said, we are a destination, a trusted source for information and quality experiences. We already have more field trips, second graders this time, lined up for later this month. This takes many hands across library departments, but I think we all agree that the effort is well worth it when we make connections with our youngest patrons. Looking at 2025, we have some great exhibits coming. Right now is Youth Art Month. If you haven't stopped in to see it, please stop in to see it. Erin, thanks for mentioning it the other day. It's a beautiful exhibit in collaboration with the School District of Waupaca art teachers. That's on display until the end of March. Then we have the Waupaca Cultural Exchange Committee, another city organization that we're happy to be highlighting with talking about our sister city, Matoyo City, Japan. We're looking at local artist Marie App, banned books, World War I, and then have lots of programs coming up, including Arts on the Square activities. Our Renaissance Fair is coming back again this year. Lots of activities for our summer learning program, and Bubble Wonder, which is super fun if you haven't ever done that before. Don't forget, your library is a great portal for free digital content, ebooks, e-audiobooks, and streaming video, and of course books, magazines, and newspapers, all free for your use with a library card. Although libraries are sometimes generalized as a place to check out books, our real goal is to provide a wide variety of inclusive services that add to the quality of life for our residents and help shape the culture of Waupaca. Thank you, Mayor Smith, online. Thank you to our city council members and city administration for your continued support of the library, WACN, and arts and cultural initiatives in Waupaca. I'm excited to see where this next round of arts planning takes the city to make it an even more vibrant community. Any questions that I can answer from city council? Otherwise, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Liz. Next, we have Dan Wolfgram, who is reporting on the Waupaca Fine Arts Festival for the Waupaca Area Arts and Culture Network. Hi,
Good
Dan.
evening, everyone. My name is Dan Wolfgram, and as I listen to Liz and I look around the room, I can't help but reminisce about the many years that I have spent now in this community, some behind that desk. It's good to see so many familiar faces. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and the Waupaca Area Arts and Culture Network for the opportunity for us to showcase what we do. I think I'd like to lead with a thought for a conversation that I had with Mr. Jensen at the Arts Summit just this past year. When oftentimes looking at communities and the strengths that Waupaca has, I think that the arts in general is a huge calling card. We have the chain. We have our wonderful programs at the school. We have employment in the foundry. But we also have a very distinct arts blueprint in this community, whether it be through the Waupaca Fine Arts Festival, the WCAB, or the many other artists that are starting to call this their home. I've been here for nearly 35 years, and for 25 of those, I was the director of the choral activities at Waupaca High School. So I've been keeping my finger on the pulse of this community for a long time. And when we start to think of the arts, for those of you that either weren't a former student of mine or possibly another singer, please keep in mind that the Waupaca Fine Arts Festival is the oldest one, older than many of us in this room. It was founded by Gerald C. Kniffel, my predecessor, and we are celebrating our 62nd year. That's a long time to be doing arts and fun drives, musicals, and shows. So half of my life, practically now, I've been a part of this organization and very proud to represent it here this evening. So again, thank you to the Council, Waupaca Area Arts and Culture Network, and to the Waupaca Fine Arts Festival. This year, we are celebrating our 62nd anniversary. Hopefully, I'm going to give some of you a pass on not being a member of the community choir since you meet on Tuesday evenings. But once you are no longer a part of this organization, as far as the City Council, I would expect you at rehearsals from 7 to 9 on Tuesdays from January through the month of April. I look forward to seeing you since some of you were my students, and I know you can sing. So starting off this year, we were part of the 12 Days of Christmas Cabaret with dessert and coffee. We had some holiday entertainment, poems, prose, and seasonal music on Friday, December 6th and 7th. And then we also had an audition boot camp, which took place just this past month. We had over 25 attendees where we are trying to groom and teach our young people as well as our veteran theater members how to come prepared for an audition. It was interesting that our eldest member, our senior member that came to the workshop, was 71 years old and was the lead in Hello, Dolly under Mr. Kniffel back in the late 60s. So you are never too old for the arts. Same thing with our community choir. We accept high school students all the way through. If you need a wheelchair to get on stage, as long as you can make an attempt at singing, we're going to take you. The Waupaca Community Theater produced a show earlier this year in January. The kids left, the dog died, now what? And I was excited to be able to see this incorporate the Gerald Opera House in Waupaca. As you can see that the Waupaca Fine Arts Festival, we try to reach out to Almond, we try to reach out to Waupaca, our neighbors to the north, south, east, and west, so that way everybody can be included in the arts. We are in the midst of our community chorus rehearsals Tuesday nights, and our concert this year is on Sunday, April 6th. I really hope you can come and see it this year because it's not highbrow. Last year we produced the Mozart Requiem. This year it's going to be much lighter material. It's going to be a collage concert consisting of spirituals, Broadway, and some standalone favorites. So please come out and see us for that. It is a fundraiser for us as well. Then right on Main Street, as usual, our new home, moving from the expo, we are at the Waupaca Art Show 2025. It is at the Danes home. There's going to be an opening party and premiere night on Saturday, April 12th, a judge's critique on the 13th, and it runs April 12th through April 16th. So we've got a lot of things in the fire right now. Then slowly coming up, we also have the Waupaca Community Children's Theater. We are an integral organization that partners with the children to help put on a show every year that's always well attended. This year they are doing Elephant and Piggies. We are in a play Junior. So if you have the opportunity to see that, that is July 18th through the 22nd. And the main stage theater production for this year is, coincidentally enough, Hello Dolly. And it is going to be July 26th, 27th, 31st, and August 1st through the 3rd at the Waupaca High School Performing Arts Center. If you have March 22nd off, you may audition 9 to 5. We're encouraging everybody to come on out, bring a dialogue, bring a song you'd like to sing, give it a shot. Again, we have been around for 62 years putting on productions, plays, art shows, Wisconsin singers. We're very proud to be a part of this community. And the calling card that we have, again, is that when people look at communities to come to, they know we have a vibrant, rich arts community here in Waupaca, and we're proud to be a part of it. So any questions that you have of me, of the organization, of our plans?
Dan,
Yeah.
if some of us couldn't follow your rapid pace of all the plays and things you're doing, is there a spot that we can go to look at that all?
There is. Thank you, Paul, for bringing that up. At Waupaca Fine Arts Festival, you can put in Waupaca Community Choir, Waupaca Fine Arts Festival, Waupaca Theater, put it into the Google machine. It will come to our webpage. It's a brand new, redesigned webpage that has all of the information needed for it on any of our shows. So thank you again for the opportunity, and please come support us. Come to our shows. And I'll look forward to recruiting you when you are retired from City Council.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, the Waupaca Area Fire Department monthly report is not going to occur tonight because Jake Waller, the fire chief, is not here. Also, what will not occur tonight are the rest of the department head reports. So we'll move on to issues and projects discussion, 30-minute maximum and no action required. Tonight is going to be the Rec Center expansion update by Steve from Berners Schober. Steve.
Thank you. So first of all, when Big Boss Aaron told me that I should present to council, he didn't tell me I'd be sharing the agenda with the with your fine arts department and/or fellow architects and engineers. So I've got drawings and blueprints in your presentation today, and I'm thrilled to put them in front of those folks. Okay, are you driving for me, Aaron?
I'm working on it.
Yep, it's all good. We've been having a ton of fun over the course of this.
For council members, this is page 120 if you want to follow along on your iPads.
So as you all know, you pursued a grant, right? A flexible facilities grant for some pretty specific spaces as an addition to the rec center. We were fortunate enough to be able to win that. We've been working with staff since, I'll say, late December, kind of early January is kind of how we started easing into it. Maybe most specifically, business center, some flexible office space, a couple classrooms, some support for that, and then an expansion to what I think we all call the Blue Gym. We started out with quite a few goals on, what exactly do we want this project to be doing? How is it going to help both the existing program in the rec center and meet the needs of the grant that you pursued? So we looked at quite a few options on where it could go and why, settling into kind of as described in the diagram and then the space utilization program up front. So a little bit techy, but these are a list of the rooms, the square footages they represent, and then you sort of see the colored boxes as where we think they kind of best fit and how they interact with each other and the existing site and building. Go ahead, Aaron. Schedule-wise, we're looking to hopefully have a set of drawings out for contractors to be pricing somewhere in the late spring, early summer neighborhood for construction to start midsummer and be wrapped up by fall of '26. Budget-wise, we're pretty well working to the figures that were absolutely listed in your grant in the first place, right? You pursued a certain amount of dollars. We're trying to help you spend every single one of those, and hopefully not a red cent more. But you know, as we further develop the design iterations, of course, we keep refining those budgets. But right now, we're tracking within the umbrella of where we think this needs to be and what we believe you're being offered via this grant. This one we can cruise through pretty quick, Aaron. I think this is probably a better example of what's going on. So we sort of see the best fit for, obviously, the expansion of the blue gym. I'm going to say east. Those, you know, obviously you guys understand it's kind of southeast with the north not being in the right direction for my plan, as it were. But expansion of the blue gym to the east, and then we see the business center sort of built out towards the road and the setback thereafter. I don't want to cruise right past it. We're absolutely going to do everything we can to wrap this addition and preserve that big old beautiful oak tree. That's our goal. That said, there's an awful lot of people that have to participate in an awful lot of directions to make sure that's possible. So we're hoping we can save it. That's certainly the intentions. I don't want to make any promises because we got a long way to go before the fall of 2026. But right now our intent is the business center wraps around off the existing space towards the road, gives us the opportunity for a new entry sequence, try to maybe make that end of the building a little bit more inviting from the curb appeal side, and building the addition towards the south, if I call it that. We did identify a fair amount of goals kind of over the course of design. We've looked at, I want to say, about 6 or 8 versions of a floor plan, and a lot of the pros and cons that got us there. I think this is sort of the best fit for it. I think that's true on a core team level. I'd be thrilled for some further input for it always, as the case, but starting to feel like we're marching down the right path. Yep, go ahead. We do have a couple images of what we're starting to think about this space being built out, so I'm going to ask you to use your imaginations a little bit. Some of this is graphic, so we can think about what the room's going to feel like, a little bit less specific on what's actually. That's not the couch we're picking. We think a couch fits there pretty good, right? These aren't the graphics for the space, but we know we're going to want something on the wall surface sort of in that neighborhood. So shot inside the business center itself, it's about 1,000 square feet with some private office space over to the side, a couple varieties of seating. Keep going here. Another shot in that same room. You see a little hospitality and some working space over on the left. A better shot of the offices on the far end. Again, back the other way, you're seeing the leaves of the big old beautiful bur oak at the tops of our windows. Again, this is a work in progress, right? We had talked about some phone booths. We're thinking about some other kind of seating, right? Some of these things are still sort of moving, but I think you get kind of the emotion of the space anyway. Exterior-wise, they're starting to see the addition and the extension of the corridor along the street side, an opportunity to sort of redo that entry piece, connecting the two of them. I think our goals include a dedicated entry for kind of the business center, and then the backside where the existing entry is now is sort of the dedicated entry for the rec center. I'm not sure that you'd send somebody all the way around the building should they go to the wrong one, but that's kind of the passive approach to where we see it fitting best. Yep, you can keep going. The little closer shot from the outside. We're trying to engage that front yard, so to speak. So we've got some outdoor patio space. We got some covered seating options. Again, trying to just cycle people to that sort of entry piece just a little bit more. Yep, keep going. There you kind of see it in full. You'll see the addition on the blue gym in the background. We're just extending the geometry of the barrel vault that exists with the corridor extension along the street side and then the business center itself out in front. Oh, and then we get to non-fun stuff. I've also had pretty good record of your existing spaces just to make sure we're interacting with them and taking on the utilities. That's kind of all the slides I had and sort of where we're at in the whole scheme of things. At this point, we just continue to refine that, right? We start thinking about that next level of detail and how those pieces parts are going to go together, how we can build them, in this construction market, sort of all those good parts of further development of design. You guys have any questions for me? Aaron, Laura, Justin, did I miss anything? AV Studio, yep, sorry. A little opportunity for some podcasting or do-it-yourself or recording off the big corridor there, a little bit more remote from the noise of the gym. Another fun part of the program.
I think I'll speak to just a couple things that I would anticipate might be going through as questions through some of council members' heads. You know, when we first talked about this, we had some very, very crude site maps that showed potentially retaining what we call the annex, or what used to be the HFH building. As we went through this concept, we weighed the pros and cons of that. He mentioned we had 6 to 8 different concepts. Some of them did keep that. If we did that, we were able to get more square footage, but at the same time, we had a completely separated building. It didn't work well from an operational efficiency standpoint. It was double the mechanicals. So from a efficiency standpoint, both operationally and capital-wise, it didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it also, I would say, kind of definitive on your opportunity for expansion in the future, right? Which is a big red flag for us, right? Like as set up, we can continue to expand all the way towards the driveway, right? To plan east as presented, where if we built out the annex building and put a gym on the annex building, you're pretty well done, right? There's no future expansion there that wouldn't have to undo something that you've already paid for, right? The annex itself is also, how do I phrase it politely? It's going to take some work in order for that to be up in operation anyhow. I'm not sure that it's worth the consequences that it does for everything else related to your planning.
Yeah, that Steve mentioned it, the site, future site flexibility for future councils and future staff was an important piece too. So those are some things I really wanted to touch on, and I guess with that, I think Steve asked it, but any other questions?
Is this going to require that the marquee be moved? Well, I mean, I see it on the mock-up here, but.
We'll still maintain the existing sign and just move the electrical that goes to it. Yep.
Yeah, I totally understood. It's pretty brand new. We're not going to throw that thing out. Yeah, you betcha.
I guess one of the questions I had too, I realize this is basically conceptual drawings on it, but just looking at entry, talking with people when they're utilizing that facility now, the majority of the parking is on that far east side. Beneficial on the business center side to have an actual main entry on the east side of that building that they could actually access closer to the parking lot. So if your handicap parking was there, you wouldn't have to go all the way around to the back or through the front. And I did some quick measurements. It's like 444 feet from the center of the parking lot if you went all the way around the back to get to the center of the business center.
Yes, sir.
And some of the other things too in there. And I know it's part of the grant requirement, but the telehealth rooms in there, I got a lot of questions with that.
All right, so let me try to unpack those one at a time. The intentions will absolutely be an entry on that end. That said, from future expandability, that's also the way we want to go. So I'm having a little trouble putting the front door there because that's where we want to be able to build addition on. I also want the entry that we have to sort of start welcoming people. I think we phrased it in an early design meeting that it's a community center that's currently a little bit fortified from the community, right? You don't really know where you're going from the street. There's a lot of signs about how you're not supposed to skateboard there, but other than that relatively recent new marquee, you don't really know what's behind those 40-foot tall masonry walls. A big piece of the design intention is, here we are. This is the door you're coming to. These are the intentions on the glass, for instance, across the whole addition is to so that people can see that activity and see that there's something happening behind these walls. If I put the entry on the short end off the corridor, it's convenient. You're not wrong, right? I still think it brings them in more, at least from the first time with a celebrated front door. And then once they know what they're doing, they're going to be able to use the side door, right? Yeah. Loud and clear, we weighed a lot on, is there a way we could fit it on this side so we could address both those doors, right? Both the rec center door and the business center door, so to speak. And we explored that quite a bit. I don't think we found a path that really utilized your dollars the best we could, because if I'm being honest, I'd love to keep going in that place and help the rest of the way too. Yeah, please.
Additionally, we're not moving our office space, and so by keeping the entry point where it's at, it's closer to the office for security reasons, for if there's questions, for if people don't know where's the business center, which gym do I go to, they'll still come closer to where we're located.
Yeah, it's a great question though. The next one you had in the list, if you're satisfied.
The telehealth room.
The telehealth rooms. No, that's.
I know it's part of the grant requirement.
I would say that a big piece of our design goals is the flexibility of what the space will be on day one and the flexibility of what the space could be looking forward, right? So you're not wrong. It feels like programmatically a little bit of a stretch, right? Like there's some business that has to support that in order for it to be successful. The good news is it's a 120 square foot room. We can find a reason to put an office somewhere that maybe isn't a telehealth room someday. So it's in your grant. It's definitely part of what those folks are looking to award you the money for fulfilling. But our program as a whole needs to be adaptable for what the future of the whole building could be, right? Maybe if the business center component of it, including the flex offices and the telehealth, isn't as successful as we'd like, what are you gonna do with the space, right? We've talked about some options. What could that be 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road? Like, is there a chance to maybe start moving some of the pieces from the existing rec center over into the swing space so that you can start correcting some of those areas of floor plan, right? In my mind, that becomes the senior center someday, and then we can fix that chunk of floor plan too, right? But right now, we need to satisfy your grant language for the folks that are giving you the 4.6 mil.
Thank you.
Henry.
Speaking of 4.6 million, I'm assuming the state of Wisconsin, this funding came from some federal legislation a few years ago. And we've all read that money, a lot of it has been frozen. I'm assuming that money is at the state of Wisconsin and they control the flow of it.
So right now, I've been on the phone a lot with the Department of Administration as well as our attorneys regarding that question. The Department of Administration has a signed contract with the federal government to get access to that money, and they have been able to act. They don't have the full amount, but they have been able to get access since these orders have taken place. The direction from the Department of Administration to each of our communities that have received these is proceed. We don't have concerns. We actually are still waiting on a signed contract from them. I expect that to be delivered this week. And I expect that to have some language that protects our communities. Actually, and I know Steve is waiting on that too, because I have not signed the contract with Steve, and they are continuing to move towards the timelines until we have the signed contract with the state.
Right, so let's just clarify that, Aaron. We're best friends, right? You following me here?
Yes.
Well, we're all, in all seriousness, this is an important point. And, you know, I don't want it to hold us up. And if you've got those assurances, I feel comfortable. And, you know, there's a lot of, you know, I'll just leave it at that.
No,
So, yeah, and I'm sure you guys have turned over the rocks and you feel comfortable. Your company feels, your business feels comfortable. So.
You're absolutely not wrong. Aaron and I are touching base on that twice a week, right? I mean, you're 100% correct, because we are all super worried about that. Because, I mean, there's a community need where everybody's excited about this. I mean, I think it's a cool project. It's cool for your community. But if the funding's gone, the funding's gone. I know Aaron's in contact with them a lot. Aaron and I are in contact a lot. We're, you know, fingers on the button, as it were. So yeah, I shouldn't be cracking jokes. You're totally right.
Yeah, well, I don't want it to hamstring us. You know, you can always make up excuses not to do something, and this is a great project. You guys are proceeding very expeditiously, and I appreciate your firm's willingness to you know, kind of go down this path with us with the uncertainty. And so I guess I'm okay. I'm comfortable. So I'm glad you guys fully know the landscape of what's going on. So, thank you.
Corey.
We had talked at, I think during budgeting about the boiler, and I know that can't be replaced within these plans, but does this change the cost on something like that? Or is the one that we had budgeted big enough that it can handle all of this, or are we?
So we're
Where are
working.
we at with that? Because I know that was basically on its last legs.
Yeah, so we're working through that. Yeah, the last leg, as in no legs as of now. Yeah, we put some prosthetic legs on. So we do have a separate project to replace those boilers. With this square footage making the whole facility larger, the boilers will have to get bigger to accommodate that. And we're working through it. With the budget we had, we did have some contingency built in. Off the cuff, I'm assuming it may not be enough, but we're still trying to gather all that information of the exact sizing, and then after that, try to get a little bit better idea on a cost. And at this point, I'm under the assumption that if we can make it work for a little bit more, that would definitely be something I would be asking, but definitely would be coming back as a ask for council. So, but we're working through it.
Anybody else? Oh, Eric?
Is there any loss of parking at all? It doesn't appear that there is.
It's practically net zero with the demo of the annex building. You get to pick up a couple. Yeah, so I mean, we're losing a couple, adding a couple, basically net zero change to it.
I'll make a comment on that too. I know actually Colin suggested looking into, that's a very wide portion of the street, and there's that parallel parking portion, and is it a possibility to get some angled parking in there to add? That's also close to an entrance, and I know Justin, off the top of his head, thought it was a good idea, and he was going to look into it. I don't know if you have an update, Justin, or not, but.
It's outside of the project, outside of the fund, so it would, again, be another request. The pavement is wide enough to accommodate that. We would have to do a little restriping, and with the parking stalls, obviously, and then the center line as well. So I guess the feel driving through there would definitely be different, and we would have to, I guess, look a little deeper, though, with approaching and going through that intersection. It's not a very standard intersection. We have a few more things we got to kind of check the boxes on, but initially it looks like there's a potential there.
Colin, did you?
I was going to ask, in this particular view, it looks like the door to the second, I'll call it it's kind of the gym that's colored blue, not the blue gym, which is colored gray, and this one is at the end of that hallway. And then if you look at the second facade down about 3 or 4 pictures, there's some windows that, I guess it's the last picture. There's 4 windows that are white and 5 or 6 that are gray. My question is the existing wall between those 2 gyms going to have to remain, or is there going to be a way to, how do I say this? Expand between the 2 gyms? You have a folding wall, et cetera. Is that a structurally?
That's an awesome question. Yes, it is structurally, and yes, we are taking it out because Mayor Brian Smith told me I had to, no matter what. So that's in their design goals, absolutely. Thinking about it like an expansion of the blue gym, quite literally. We're going to pull through the finishes. We're going to pull through the sort of upper clear story window strategy. Our intentions are we are making the blue gym bigger.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Mayor, I know you've been involved in all these conversations. What are we missing? Anything you want to add to this?
I think you guys did a good job, really. The only thing I can reiterate really is that I know council is actually seeing this product for the first time, but the staff and myself have worked with Steve over the last couple of months to bring this project forward. And so I know you have a lot of questions and you had a lot of questions. Hopefully they all got answered. But I think what we have here is a product that works well for the city. And, I think that's why we feel comfortable with showing this to you tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to expand just for 1 minute on the questions on the telehealth room. Eric, you had questions on those. You can see that they're about almost the exact same size as these other rooms. What you're looking at here, when we went and did our tours of the other co-working spaces, what we found is some of the most successful and rented out spaces and used spaces were these types of small office spaces that were rented on a monthly basis. And this is appropriately sized for our market compared to what we walked through. And that was designed that way to say, hey, if telehealth isn't used, if it does get used for something else in the future, we can just expand upon that usage, which seems to be in demand.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right, thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Next up, we have license report number 1708, Class B, intoxicating liquor license and Class B fermented malt beverage license for GNL LLC, doing business and as Grand National Lounge, 106 West Union Street. Jenny Beeland, agent. I believe this is just transferring the liquor license from current or past owner to the new owners. Correct? Okay. Would either Jenny or Kelly like to say something about their business?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Atkins, and Jen's behind me. I moved to Waupaca about 1.5 years ago from Wausau, and during the day I work with people who have dementia. Jen's a chef, and she has a catering business. And I don't think either one of us expected to own a lounge, but here we are. We don't expect to change too much, but we're excited to be part of the downtown Waupaca community and expand some of the things like bridge and poetry groups and book clubs that we have. And we're also working on making a bigger mocktail menu for the community because we've had some requests for non-alcoholic drinks as well. And so we're just looking forward to contributing to downtown Waupaca, and we appreciate this opportunity. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, thanks, Kelly.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have to vote on this. I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve license report number 1708.
Move to approve license report 1708.
Second.
Moved by Hagan, second by who? Henry? But, okay, moved by Hagan, second by Veliker to approve license report number 1708, Class B intoxicating liquor license and Class B fermented malt beverage license for GNL LLC, doing business as Grand National Lounge. Any discussion? Be a roll call. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have resolution number 1572, a resolution authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $3,965,000 in general obligation promissory notes. Stephanie.
Thank you. This can be found on page 134, and I'm going to loop this along with resolution number 1573. That's on page 157. They will be voted on separately, but we do have Justin Fisher here with Baird with a presentation for both of them. And as you know, this is to support our capital improvement projects as you all voted on back during budget. So I will kick it over to Justin.
Thank you, Stephanie, and good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you. I believe the presentation is on page 186 of your packets. And what I'll go through is very similar to what we went through during budget time when I was here in November. Go through the financing summary, timeline. We'll go through the general obligation long-term plan of finance and general obligation capacity, and then finish off with the sewer system long-term capital plan. So if you go to page 1 of that presentation, the first financing is the general obligation promissory notes with an estimated size of $3,965,000. This is going to fund the 2025 and 2026 capital improvement projects and refinance a portion of the notes that were done back in 2023. The structure is maturing March 1 of 2026 through 2045, with the first interest March 1 of 2026, so next year. It'll be callable March 1 of 2033 or any date thereafter, so that's when we can take a look at refinancing or paying it off. And then the estimated interest rate is of 4.75% and the max parameter of 5.25. The next financing is a sewer system revenue bond. So again, this is going to be just paid for by the sewer utility itself for the amount of $3,995,000. This is going to fund the 25 and 26 capital projects as well, with the structure May 1 of 2026 through 2040, with the first interest November 1 of 2025 and callable again May 1 of 2033 or any date thereafter. Estimated rate on that 5% with a max parameter of 5.5%. So the tentative timeline for the issuance is going to be, we've already started the offering document process. That's again where we gather a bunch of information, working with Stephanie, Aaron, Justin, and team, collecting and putting it in an offering document that's going to go out to potential buyers of the municipal bonds. The rating, we actually had the rating call today with Standard & Poor's. That went very well. Very good call. You know, if you recall last year, Standard & Poor's raised the rating of the county. They gave you an upgrade to a AA-, so that was excellent news last year. And you know, as you continue down the path, they continue to see the growth, development, just all the exciting things going on in Waupaca, and they really took note of that of today. Common Council considers the plan of finance and adopts the parameters resolution tonight, authorizing the administrator or finance director to sign off on the sales. And then what our plan is to potentially jump into the market here in early March and then close on the financings on April 8th of 2025. So going to page 2, and this one, you've seen this in the past. This has a lot of numbers on the page, but what I'll walk you through from the left to the right. The left side of the page, that's your existing debt service payments on an annual basis. You can see after 2025, there's a nice little drop in debt service, and that's been planned for with the financings that are taking place that I'm talking about tonight. The city is going to be applying about $1.3 million in unassigned capital fund balance to reduce the financing. We're also going to be applying some of the TID 8 revenues because that TID is starting to do better and being able to repay some of the advances that were made. So we're going to utilize a bunch of cash to reduce the long-term financing on this issuance. So the public works portion of the financing, which is in the middle of the page, that's going to be the piece that's going to be done over a 20-year because of the useful life of that project. And then the $2 million for capital improvement projects for 25-26 are going to be amortized or paid off in a 10-year period because of those useful lives of those projects. Then we modeled in all the future potential capital projects that are in your 5-year CIP, kind of working with Stephanie and Aaron and Justin on all of that stuff. And then on the right side of the page, that's the potential debt service that may take place later down the road. So trying to bake it all into the overall planning. Now, if we go to page 3 of the presentation, this is the general obligation borrowing capacity, and I show you this every time. It continues to improve as you continue to grow because municipalities are allowed to borrow up to 5% of your equalized valuation. Your valuation has been growing pretty substantially over the last several years. We've also been, continuing to pay down debt, every year. So when you look at this type of graph, what the black bars, that's your existing outstanding debt, and as you can see, that's being paid off over time. So that's why it's decreasing. The blue, that's what we're talking about tonight. So that's stacked on top, and then the green there is all the potential hypothetical future financings in the CIP that'll last potentially going forward. So trying to layer in everything, and the city has a policy not to exceed 3.75%. You're going to be within that capacity, and in 2028, that's kind of the you can see there's going to be $7 million, but at any point you still have a significant amount of capacity in case something unforeseen comes up. Now, if we go to page 4, this is the sewer system long-term capital improvement plan. Left side of the page, that's your existing sewer debt service payments. In the middle of the page, that's where we're talking about tonight, $3,995,000. We've also, working with Justin in his projects and looking at all those different things, factored in a potential financing in the future, just so we know what that may look like and how that potentially impacts the capacity for that utility. Because we always want to maintain at least 1.1 times coverage ratio when we think about the revenues of the utility minus the debt service expenses. So as you can see, you're always going to be above that 1.1 times coverage, which gives us comfort on where you are with that utility. So everything continues to look good. As I said, we completed the rating call today, so we should have that in the next week or so, and then once we get that, we'll look to jump into the market.
Okay, thanks, Justin. Any questions for Justin? Okay. We need to pass the 2 resolutions. First is resolution number 1572, a resolution authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $3,965,000 in general obligation promissory notes. I need a motion and a second.
Move to approve resolution number 1572.
Second.
Moved by Olson, second by Veliker to approve resolution number 1572. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please, Barb.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Barb. Next is resolution number 1573, which we already discussed. This is a resolution authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $3,995,000 in Sewerage System Revenue Bond Series 2025, the City of Waupaca, Waupaca County, Wisconsin, and providing for the payment of the bonds and other details with respect to the bonds. Any discussion? Oh, Need a motion and a second for that.
Move to approve resolution number 1573.
Second.
Moved by Hagan, second by Nagel, to approve resolution number 1573. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please, Barb.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Barb.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Justin.
See you, Justin.
Okay, next we have captive fixed assets policy. Stephanie, you're up again.
Thank you. This can be found on page 190. This is an administrative decision. The federal government has increased their threshold for tracking capital purchases and assets, and they went from $5,000 to $10,000. So in light of this change, our auditors did recommend that we follow suit. It will be easier to track our overall and tracking procedures and avoid unnecessary administrative tasks with this change. So the recommendation is to approve the updated capital fixed asset policy that will be moving from $5,000 to $10,000 for the threshold, and the attachments are followed.
Thank you, Stephanie. Questions for Stephanie? Okay, I need a motion and a second to approve the new policy.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved by Peterson, second by Olson, to approve the new captive fixed assets policy. Any discussion? Our roll call vote?
Okay. Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Eric Halverson. 10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Barb.
You're welcome.
Next, we have the design firm selection for Fulton and the pedestrian bridge planning and design. Justin.
Thank you. Memo starts on 195 of the packet with information all the way to 243. Right away, that first line, this is Fulton Street. It's not from Bailey. It's a little bit of an inaccuracy. It's more Hillcrest. Bailey is on the opposite side of Fulton, so excuse me for that. But this is the design for Fulton Street from Hillcrest all the way down to Main, and then also the pedestrian bridge replacement in our downtown. So this is two different projects mashed into one request from a design firm. Doing, I guess, both under one umbrella just means the city should be a little bit more efficient with our dollars. As you remember, we received funding for both of these different projects. Our grant writer, Greg, did a fantastic job in writing up a couple different grants. The Fulton Street, which falls underneath the LRIP program, or Local Road Improvement, and that's a 50-50 cost share on the construction items. So we are receiving just a little over $2 million from the state to complete that construction. The remaining of the construction, which roughly is $2.4 million, is on the city's dime, along with the utilities. The PED Bridge, very similarly, but a little bit better program, TAP, Transportation Alternatives Program. 80% of that is coming from the state in an amount of $972,900, and the rest, roughly $327,000, to be funded by us. Again, those are just construction numbers. So, as Greg kind of put this funding in place for us, we had to go out for a request for proposals for design services. In the audience with us is Brandon Herbert from Strand. He'll be available for comment as well. But we put an RFP together and sent it out there seeking architectural and engineering services for both projects. That RFP was issued back in November. We received a 5 proposals back, and we had a small team consisting of myself, Alderperson Perchatsky, Alderperson Belliker, Street Superintendent Roger Hansen, and then, of course, the grant writer, Greg Groman. You can see the table on 196 basically gives you a general rundown of those proposals. So we have the firm name, the overall cost, total hours, $1 per hour, which we just kind of look at to see if everything falls in line between the various firms, kind of see some trends. And then finally, the group score, which we just had several different categories. When we got together, we scored them all. So you can see the bottom two, not in scoring, it's alphabetical, scored the highest. So SEH, who did the design work on Main Street, and then Strand Associates, who we've used on several projects recently, scored the highest out of the initial review of the proposals. So with that, the group decided to interview those 2 firms as those 2 stood out above the rest. They came in for an interview, and after the interviews, the group again unanimously ranked Strand as number 1. So above a very well put together proposal, a very good interview, they're also number 1 on overall cost. So it seemed like a pretty easy selection. Their proposal starts on 208 if you'd like to look ahead and have any questions from it. But overall, the group basically was blown away with the detail that Strand put together, basically block by block of what they would do for Fulton Street. And then the bridge itself, the option they gave us and the reasonings behind it. So with the bridge would be a one large span. The other options from the other groups all included like various piers in the river or next to it, which when we thought about it, talked about it, is additional DNR oversight, permitting from other different groups. And with Strand's idea of just spanning the whole thing, we can eliminate a lot of those concerns, a lot of that oversight review, and just stay away from specific sensitive issues. So we thought that was a huge, huge sell for us. Also, they proposed a landscape architectural firm where other proposals were not clear on that if they're going to provide that. So a very specialized service. And with the bridge being in the downtown area, the aesthetics that we've been putting forth in the downtown area and the businesses and other nearby places, we thought that was also a big sale. Aaron's kind of scrolling through the Fulton Street, and again, you can just see the page by page, the details, a lot of the things that they picked up on, flagged, others sometimes did, but sometimes didn't. So we just felt like a very big comfort level that nothing would be missed and we'd have a good partner here. The task order, which is basically an agreement or contract, is also included with the costs. In general, what it's going to cover is site surveys, field data gathering, geotechnical investigation, renderings for the public, and then also running some public informational meetings. So that's with both projects. So we'll have separate ones for Fulton Street and then also for the pedestrian bridge. Presentations to the council, plan commission, and water and sewer board. So we are replacing the water and sewer underneath. And for each of those funds, we expect to be spending upwards of $500,000 for both water and sewer. So we're going to involve all these different groups. Environmental, historical, archaeological review, and all that type of documentation as required. Some of it is required through the state, through the different programs. Others is just because you need to do that in order to have a good bid document. Construction estimates will come along the way, and we just heard about our borrow. So we have just secured borrow for the next 2 years. These 2 projects will stretch us out for the next 4 years. So as we move forward in this, having very good estimates, opinions of probable costs will be very valuable to us. So all in all, I guess, if you haven't figured out by now, we're going to recommend Strand. Now, I will bring up the borrow again. So the total agreement for all these services is an amount not to exceed $477,800. Now, we just approved 25 and 26. which will not cover all of it, but very close. So there will be, I guess, part of the action. I don't know if we need to allude to that, but 27 and 28, which is what both these projects kind of spread out into, we may have to adjust the budgeting at that time, but certainly the funds to pay for these services will be in years ahead that we have not approved. So as long as that's an understanding, I just wanted to put that out there. That make sense? You're looking.
Yeah, I would just add that all of our forecasting has the entire everything,
Right.
Engineering, planning, design, construction, for all of that layered in. So yeah.
Right. And then if you could just go to 198, and then I'll maybe turn it over to Brandon. So I probably should have started here. This is the project, the design services project as a whole. So again, the SMA, the LRIP 1 pays for Fulton Street from 49 down to Main Street. Going from that up to Hillcrest, we're going to pay for that 100%. The LRIP will be a 50-50. And then, of course, the bridge, which is the fuchsia color, is 80-20 split with TAP funding. So this is design services, which on all of these projects, we are 100% funding. It's the construction that is where these SMAs kick in, and the funding starts to help us out.
Thanks, Justin. Any questions?
So I just want to be clear, we're looking for us to approve Strand to begin designing the road.
Correct.
'Cause I've seen stuff in here about like a road diet. That's not what we're approving, is it?
No, are you're referencing probably the proposal?
Page 218.
Yeah. So that was something, again, was in Strand's proposal of like, hey, here's an option based on the traffic counts out there, the turn movements. We have a left turn onto 49. This is just something they said this could happen. This is not set in stone.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Brandon, you came a long way. You have anything to add to that?
Well, I'd just say, thank you for the opportunity to be here and, pending approval of our task orders tonight to work with you guys in the city. It's been a pleasure working with staff over the last 5, 6, 7 years or so. And definitely looking forward to working on these projects, in the next 3 or 4 years. You guys have a tremendous city here, a tremendous area. Personally very excited to have any reason to come up here. So looking forward to working with everybody. And these are fantastic projects. I mean, truly generational projects, both of them, the bridge and the Fulton Street project. So personally very excited in my career to be able to work on those as well. So I should also mention that I'd be the project manager for Fulton Street. We have another gentleman, Keith Barron at Strand, that would be the project manager for the bridge. And then Justin mentioned we have a sub-consultant for architecture and planning that we would incorporate for some of the aesthetics and kind of the planning of both ends of the bridge. There's a great opportunity there to kind of enhance those areas, create kind of a cohesive look and feel on both ends of the bridge. During our interview, we talked about a concept of like one park, one bridge kind of thing, that once you put a nice bridge connecting those and kind of open up the visual across the river, I think it's really going to feel like one bridge or one park and very connected. And so they're going to help us with that aspect of the project as well. So again, thanks for the opportunity and very excited to work on these. Certainly would love to, help answer any other questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve a contract with Strand Associates of Madison, Wisconsin for an amount not to exceed $477,800 for the planning and design of the Fulton Street project and the pedestrian bridge.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Perchatsky, second by Henry Veliker, to approve a contract with Strand Associates for an amount not to exceed $477,800. Any discussion? Barb, roll call vote, please.
Okay. Eric Olson.
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Just so everyone knows and doesn't get confused, Brandon is also working on our airport's master plan as a sub-consultant to Kaufman and Associates. So if you see him around doing something else and you're wondering why, he's also involved in that, so.
Maybe you want to move into the city. Come on over.
Yeah. Good thing you warned us.
All right. Next, we have license report number 1709, operators or bartenders licenses. Any issues, Barb?
No.
Okay. I need a motion and a second to approve license report number 1709.
Move to approve license report 1709.
Second.
Moved by Hagan, second by Perchatsky to approve license report number 1709. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. And we have license report number 1710, dance hall licenses. Need a motion and a second to approve those.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Peterson, second by Nagel to approve license report number 1710. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have communications and recommendations of the mayor. Mayor, you have the floor.
Thanks, Paul. Just a couple of things real quick. Again, at the last meeting, I reminded you that if you have a planned vacation in March during spring break, that you let Barb know as soon as possible, just so that we know, not just for city council, but for all the other committees that you might be on at that time. And speaking of committees and commissions, I know we haven't had elections yet, but thinking ahead, if you're interested in being on any committees or would like to stay on any of the committees, commissions, or boards, let me know as soon as you'd like to. Otherwise, I'll assume that you're happy with what you are on, or that you're not interested in changing at all. Also, this has not come out yet, but I was just notified yesterday that our City Planning Commission meeting for March, which would be the first Wednesday in March, which is March 5th, is canceled. There is a plan, of course, to have a City Planning Commission meeting in April, but there is not a need to have one in March. With that, Paul, I'll turn it right back to you.
Thanks, Mayor. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Hagan, second by Olson to adjourn until our next regular council meeting on Tuesday, March 4th, 2025, subject to call. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. We're adjourned at 7:13. Thank you all.